I today repair attempt or autopsy of this. This is a very fancy and probably expensive all-in-one Asus computer from a coworker. So actually it is not the first time it comes on my bench for repair, because it had random problems of not powering on or turning off randomly, or just powering on in certain positions. The last time I got it, it will only power on in this position, which is not convenient at all. So I found a bad contact in the connector to the power button, and resetting the connector actually seemed to have repaired it, but now it is dead again, and this time it will not power on at all. And I found if I plug the power supply, in fact, what will happen, the power supply will get in protected mode as if you had a shortcut. So we will test this. It is 19 volts at 7 amps power supply, so not a little power supply. So let's try to test this. We have the power in jack here. I will use my multimeter I was given by someone, by a viewer, and we will test how many ohms we have on the power input first. So it is an automatic multimeter, you have nothing to do, and it is beeping, and it is giving me 4 ohms of resistance between the center pin and the ground. It is obviously not good. We have a dead short circuit in this thing. Taking this apart is extremely tedious because we have a big number of screws. First you need to remove the fit here, so obviously you can work on it only laying it flat on the bench, which is not always convenient. You have screws around, you have clips to remove, and after this, all the electronics are in fact located on the motherboard, so you have to remove a shielding with a number of screws all around to access the motherboard. It is a very custom motherboard, not you could expect a laptop motherboard in such all-in-one computer, but not, in fact. It is not. It is using a laptop CD-ROM drive. It is using a desktop hard drive, and in fact it can be used also as a TV set. You can see there is an antenna input. There are HDMI input and outputs. So I guess it did come with a remote control, and you can use it as a TV. But everything is controlled by the motherboard, so the computer part must be more or less working all the time. So I will now open it, and we will try to find where is the failure. So here we are inside. First we will have a walk around. The bottom here we have the power on switch with wire harness going to it. We have some menu switches here, the DC power input, antenna input, speaker, the mounting for the fit, which is pretty impressive, apparently made of inside a big aluminium plate. Then the shielding for the motherboard with the HDMI network, HDMI network USB, one extra not populated VGA output here, wire harness for the speaker here, going to the motherboard, another little PCB here, not sure what it is for, maybe it is the remote control receiver, something like this. The motherboard with side connectors, USB and audio, the heatsink here with fan and heat pipes. On the top, probably here Wi-Fi antennas, big fan as you can see. In the middle here we have the hard drive. And here on the side the CD-ROM drive, DVD drive, and this PCB here into Kapton tape is probably the driver for the backlight. Seems to be a LED backlight given we have no step-up transformer. And this is a thin flat flex, so it must be a LED backlight. As you can see on the background, big metal plate mounting the display itself, which is screwed all around. And in the middle, the big size hard drive with a weird all-in-one mini SATA connector, as you can see, going to a very thin wire harness. So if we follow the wire harness from the DC input, we can see it goes directly to the motherboard. So if there is a fault, obviously it must be located somewhere on the motherboard. So next I will remove the shielding and we will have a look. Okay, here is our motherboard, processor, graphic chip here probably, RAM, Wi-Fi here, nothing special. So the first thing I will do, in fact, I will try to grab my multimeter. I will disconnect here the cable from the DC input, and I will check if the short circuit did disappear if I do this. In order to make sure there is not a short in the wire harness itself, because we never know. And yes, the short circuit did disappear. So now if I probe here on the DC input, is it even connected correctly? Yes. The short circuit is still here, so the problem is really on the motherboard itself. Okay. Well, I can in fact disconnect everything else, but I do not think there may be the problem. I can disconnect the hard drive, I can disconnect the CD drive, I can disconnect here the driver to the display, and I can disconnect the fan. I believe it is all what could make short circuits. And it is not easy, these things, to seems it is going better. Quite interesting. So does it reappear when I connect the things? No, it beeps at the beginning because in fact I have quite higher reading, so it is not very. At first it reads low, but after it is increasing. So I will reconnect also the CD drive, if I can do it, because this wire harness is a pain. Try to, like this. Here we are. No short circuit either. I can reconnect the fan here. No, it is reading high. And if I reconnect this, the driver to the backlight, and now it is not doing the same thing anymore. Quite interesting. Let me try again. Here we still have the shortcut, so maybe it is not really making good contact here on the pins or something like this. In fact, quite interesting. Or we have several power buses. No. Very interesting. Of course, if I disconnect and if I do not short to the ground, there is no shortcut here. And here it is. Very interesting. Okay, I will investigate a little bit more and I will be right back. So after other tests, now strangely it seems the short circuit. It is here again. Just before it was not here anymore, so I do not understand anything. Okay. So this is really weird because it seems at some points the shortcut is not here and after it is here again. Really interesting. So what I will do, I will zoom on the motherboard and we will inspect it together. Is it good like so? Nothing suspicious here. No signs of leakage here on these caps. Not much to see here, just the processor heatsink. I do not even know what we have as processor in this thing. Here is the main power input stage. And nothing weird in fact. We have MOSFET here, seems okay. Some coils. I do not see any fuse except if this resistor here is a fuse resistor. Unpopulated parts here. I do not see where is the main MOSFET bank for driving the... or probably here at the bottom we have in fact part of the heatsink which is pressing flat, so it must, yes, we have parts under here, so we must have probably the power supply regulation must be in here on voltage conversion. So we continue, nothing suspicious here. Here we'll just have the Wi-Fi, so I do not think there is a problem. Memory sticks. Here is the audio output, so should not be a problem. Wire to the speakers here. HDMI, network, USB, and guys, do you see that? Do you see it? This is the wire harness going to the power button on the front. And look what we have here. This plug is completely melted and burned. Look at this. All the wires here are stripped. We can see the bare copper, and the half of the connector is missing. We have complete melt of the thing. You can see there is one white tab remaining, but not the other one, and it is coming in parts, making a happy short circuit between all the wires. And yes, look at this, there is a smoke mark all the way up here, I can see it. And if I check the shielding, yes, there is some burn mark. So I do not know why this did melt and burn. It could have made a fire, by the way, because this is just going to the here at the other side, the little PCB with the button, power on button, and power on LED. Really nothing taking a lot of power in this. Quite interesting. Well, in fact I am checking. Is it really this one? Yes. If you do not trust me, it is this wire here, this one here, going here to the buttons, and here going to this connector. So I do not know if this is a side effect of another failure, or if it is the main failure by itself. So what I will do, by the way, the motherboard is probably toast and the computer is probably dead. I will try to unsolder it with my hot air gun and see if the short circuit does disappear after removing it. But I do not know what it will give exactly as results, because anyway it has been very random so far. Now it is here again. Okay, so I will unsolder this plug and we will see what it does, because maybe the short circuit is in fact between all these wires in here. So it is not very convenient for testing to have the this in place. So I will unsolder it and I will be back. There we are. And guess what? The short circuit is here for now, and the yes, the motherboard itself was damaged, and the tracks were burned under the connector. They did come off when I did unsolder the connector completely. So the motherboard is really a loss. So we still have the short circuit. And in fact, if I test some random capacitors, like these ones, I still have a short circuit on them. I suspect one of the capacitors may be the problem. Let me remove everything else. So if a failed capacitor did the melt out of the plug, really it is bad, and really quite impressive how this thing did burn. Yes, we still have a short circuit. I will unconnect everything in order to make sure the short circuit is still on the motherboard itself. Yes. There we are, the motherboard is out, everything is removed from it, including the processor, which is written Pentium G620 at 2.6 GHz. Must be some flavor of dual core, date code of 2009, copyright. Okay, so, time of truth. Will the short circuit be here or not on this power bus capacitor? Yes. So really something is blown or in short circuit on this motherboard, and so far I do not know what, but I believe the capacitors are suspicious. Here we don't have, so I think the next step will be to remove all the capacitors showing a short circuit at their leads. I will remove them and see if the problem disappears when I do it. So, as you did see, I did remove delicately all the capacitors from this bad motherboard, and the short circuit is still here. So we have, I did not ever check in fact on the other side It is the first time I flip this motherboard around. We have more of them, so let's undo them all. And check again. No, still short circuit. We have the battery here. I am testing the battery, but I do not think so. 3 volts, the battery is good. Nothing suspicious on this side also. I do not see anything which seems to be blown. There is something else under here. Big Realtek chip. Okay, so, and here also, by the way. Let's be sure to reveal everything. So, I think I will stop here the investigations for now. If you have any suggestions of what else I could test, maybe I can try also to unsolder all of these regulators. Maybe it is one of them. Here we do not have a short circuit on these capacitors. Ah, no, in fact it is charging. Yes, these ones are good. So I do not see anything else suspicious. So if you have any suggestions, you can comment. I will keep the motherboard for a little bit of time. Maybe if I have time someday, I'll do this all the MOSFETs and power regulators in case one of them is bad. But apart from this, there is obviously something wrong with this motherboard and it is not easy to see. At least it is not one capacitor in short circuit. So I wait for suggestions of what else I can do except unsoldering all the MOSFETs everywhere. And of course the computer is a complete loss. I will probably keep the LCD panel for reuse. I will give back to the owner the hard drive because it is a 500 gigs hard drive. Can be useful for something else. I will keep the memory and processor in case I need them. Some other parts, but this is a complete loss, sadly. We have more stuff here. Okay, so I hope you did enjoy this video. Sadly, I did not find the real problem, but the meltdown of the plug was a side effect, it seems, weirdly enough, and not the main problem on the motherboard. So, thanks for watching, bye bye.